This oh look, it's brought to you today by the Cleefot. Yes, I too can. Well, I get told that apparently that's 666. It tastes like apple juice. My breakfast today was bread and butter and a tin of that, and yeah, I liked it. I think I must have gone to Pound Stretcher Land to get it because Hemi pointed out. He says, "Oh, it's got the thingy." And I couldn't figure out what it was. I was trying to use a screwdriver to open it. I was like, "Come on, they can't expect it. I must be doing something wrong." And yeah, it turns out you don't use a screwdriver to open it. You just give it a twist, and it's. I suppose the idea is that that way you can twist it close, so you don't have to drink it all in one go. But as it is, I like my drinks in a glass, so I poured it into a glass. And he said, "Oh, it must have been really old stock if it's got that on there." And I said, "Yeah, I was in Poundland, and is it Poundland or Pound Stretch? If I say Pound Stretcher Land, then it encompasses all of those types of shops, doesn't it? So yeah. Anyway, I am going to upload this. I'm going to review it, and then I'm going to upload it, and then people will be like, "Ah, this is the thing just after he was done playing Scum." Yes. What am I gonna? I've got some leftover gammon. I suppose I could. Yeah, I've got gammon, and I can have that with the bread I baked, which is very, very bland. The recipe called for salt, so I put a tiny pinch of salt in, as I was worried if I put too much in, it's going to deactivate the yeast. No, ended up with a very light and fluffy loaf. I followed the recipe. It said flour, lukewarm water, pinch of salt, yeast, and 2 teaspoons of olive oil. Or in my case, I just glugged some olive oil in and said, "Yep, that's 2 teaspoons worth." Oh no, is that that's struggling? Look at it. It was nearly snuffed out. See, there it is. It's struggling. Oh, it's too cold for it. That's why. This is the problem. You shouldn't overbuild a fire. So if you do, where's the air gonna go? Yeah, silly Billy. Speaking of where the air is going to go, would you like to be the owner of the world's largest displacement engined car? It's known as the Beast. It's one of a kind. It has a 27 litre V12. It's a Rolls Royce Merlin engine, and its top speed, it was geared for 300 miles an hour, but the owner, who's recently deceased, says he's never taken it above 200 because it starts getting scary at those speeds. It is, not only is it a beast and the world's fastest, is it the world's fastest car? For a long time it was like the world's most powerful car. He says it's 1,000 horsepower. Now, normally the Merlin engines, yeah, I've snuffed it, bugger. Oh, this is terrible. Normally Merlin engines are supercharged. They were found in Spitfires and Lancaster bombers and would produce 1,500 horsepower. This one, he says, I suppose he never took it to a dyno. 12, he says it produced 1,000 horsepower probably. And for the longest time, it had a it had It had a Rolls-Royce grille on it. Then in the 1980s, Rolls-Royce took him to court and said, we don't like that you're using it because it's not really a Rolls-Royce, even though it's got a Rolls-Royce engine in it. So Rolls-Royce won that court thing, and he had to take off, and he replaced it with a one with his initials, JD. Was it JB? Can't remember his name. Anyway, it's for sale. He's dead, so the family are putting up for auction, and if you win the auction, you can have it. 27 litres, 1,000 horsepower, brilliant car, very noisy, absolutely beautiful. It is a rolling museum of everything British. Like, if you look at all the various features and you know your classic British cars, you go, oh yeah, that's a Ford Anglia, that's from an Austin something or other. The rear suspension is a Jaguar XJS. It's when they had the sort of rear independent suspension. That was a big thing. Jaguar was like really good at suspension, and I suppose Land Rover and Ford have benefited from that because of when Jaguar was bought up and became incorporated into those other things. No, I think it's just Jaguar Land Rover, and if you look at modern Jags, it's just, well, that's it's a Land Rover, but it's a bit squashed, and it's got a cat on the logo instead of, you know, what is the Land Rover logo? Is it just a green oval with the words Land Rover on it? Does the Range Rover have a Land Rover logo on it? I don't know. Point being, the shape of a Range Rover is its logo. It doesn't really need a badge on it because everyone knows what a Range Rover looks like. It's that big boxy thing. But anyway, the Beast, it's on auction. So if you type Beast 27 litre V12, you'll probably get a thing about it. So yeah. I want to say, if I had the money, would I buy it? Well, it's like, it depends. Like, if it goes for like something like £500,000 in auction, and I was a multi-millionaire, I could say yes. But all right, let's say let's say I'm Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk rich, and it's like, okay, I want this car. See, the thing is, I'll be like, it's a museum piece. It definitely needs to be ridden and driven, but it also belongs in a museum. It's like, it's a beautiful car. It's got these beautiful laid back seats in it, and it's not just like, oh yeah, I want something that's as fast as possible. It's like, it's fast, but it's also, it's a two-seater estate. It's a practical car. Yes, it's a. What's the fuel economy on the 27 litre 1930s technology engine? Yes, mate. I believe it's. I've got a personal hotline to the Sultan of Brunei. That's how much petrol it uses. Apparently, he was overtaking a car on the Autobahn, which was owned by one of the barons of Germany. And the next day, he rung up Rolls-Royce and said, "What is the name of your new Rolls-Royce? It has overtaken me. I was doing in excess of 300 kilometers per hour on the Autobahn." And Rolls-Royce said, "Oh, sorry, sir. We don't make that car. It's not a Rolls-Royce." Then why does it have the Rolls-Royce grill on it? So because he has a Rolls-Royce Merlin engine in it, and he got parts from every single car. It's like, if you look at it, it's like, it's the amalgamation of British spirit, and that's what I liked about the guy. He was like fiercely patriotic. I wish I could remember his name, but yeah, he's like, it's all British, every single nut and bolt British. I thought, that's great, it's lovely. Weighs 2 tons, very noisy. The main innovation about it is that he got a step-up gearing to go into an American, oh dear, it's not all British then, an American 3-speed gearbox, and that was able to cope with the torque because Merlin engines quite powerful. What with being 100,000 horsepower and all, bloody hell. So yeah, they were saying like most cars, they idle between 700 to 1,000 RPM. This thing idles at 150 RPM, and its top red line I think is something like 2,000. It's an aircraft engine. It's not a car engine. Thing is, it's also how practical is a 27-litre 2-seater estate? It's quite a practical car. You can run it on any petrol. Yeah, it's a 1930s engine that runs on anything. Of course you can run it on any petrol. So yes, it will accept your standard E10 unleaded. So you don't need the premium octane stuff. Which is surprising really. You'd think, Avgas is 100 octane. That's European and British octane, because I think we use RON, which is research octane, and R99 is equivalent to the Americans' 92, I think, and R95 octane is equivalent to their 87. Was that right? Now, I think there's 3 octane grades available in America, and the lowest octane grade, we don't use it, but the Japs use it. So the Jap cars over there can use the low octane stuff. And what difference does that make? I think the higher the octane number, the hotter you need it for detonation, or the slower the explosion happens. With a slower explosion, why is that a desirable thing? Then you can run a higher... Oh, I forget. I seem to remember that with diesels, one of the reasons they're more fuel efficient is the fuel burns slower than petrol. So what, you can get more out of it? But I suppose because it takes longer to burn. But then you could argue, well, wax burns slower than that, why not use it? Well, you can't reliably inject wax. You could say the same thing for coal or coal dust. But it's not practical for an internal combustion engine. No, I think the reason diesel is more fuel efficient is because it's more calorific. There's more energy in a given volume of diesel than there is petrol. I found out with the Le Mans, those race cars, they run on diesel, not petrol. And I initially thought, it's because a litre of diesel weighs less than a litre of petrol. Well, that's part of the reason, but the other reason is because the diesel's more fuel efficient, so they can go longer in between pit stops. I think, now everyone says, it's the Formula One and the innovations from that which trickle down to cars. I think we get more innovation, more useful innovation in cars from the Le Mans endurance races than we do Formula One. But that's just based purely on things like they use regen braking when they go into the pit lane. So the engine's turned off, and then they go on electric engine only, and the electric engines are powered by the regenerative braking as it goes along. So it's not like, I suppose they charge the batteries up before the race, because a full battery and an empty battery weigh the same. Yeah, so of course they do that, but during the race they're not plugging them in to recharge them. And that was purely done as a safety measure. It's like, no, your engine's got to be off when you come in, so they just coast in on the electric engines. Which is kind of good, because I'm not sure if they have starter motors, but effectively all of those cars could be bump started using their electric engine to get the car to speed, engage the clutch, and now your internal combustion engine goes on. I've been for the past few months, for the past few years, for my past lifetime, I've had a bit of engine autism, so I've been studying engines a lot. I wanted to do mechanical engineering when I was in college. I don't know. Maybe I can use my electrical engineering to study how ECUs work, although from my understanding it's all programming and knowing geometry, and I don't like either of those things. But then again, with any form of mechanical engineering, you need to do some maths in it, and I like maths, I like some maths more than others. Anyway, it's not as if I'm going to do anything commercial with it, it's just my hobby at the moment, that's it, yeah. Ooh, that smells quite smoky. Right. Fire's lit. Thanks for watching.